The dim fluorescent lights of St. Mary's Hospital flickered like dying stars, casting long shadows across the sterile room where Elias Hawthorne lay, his breath shallow and labored. In that final hour, as the monitors beeped a somber rhythm, he clutched Nurse Emily's hand with surprising strength, his eyes pleading through the haze of painkillers. "Please," he whispered, voice cracking like autumn leaves underfoot. "Deliver this letter to my daughter. It's all I have left to give." Emily Thompson, a young nurse with tired green eyes and a heart hardened by too many goodbyes, froze for a moment. She had seen death's door swing open countless times in her 5 years on the ward, but this felt different, personal. Elias's hand trembled in hers, the envelope he pressed into her palm worn and yellowed, sealed with wax that spoke of secrets long buried. As she pulled up a chair beside his bed, the weight of his request settled on her like a heavy blanket. Elias was 87, a man whose life story she had pieced together from fragmented conversations during his months-long battle with lung cancer. He spoke of a youth filled with ambition, a career as a journalist chasing stories across war-torn lands, but always with a shadow of regret clouding his tales. "I wasn't there for her," he had confessed one night, staring at the ceiling. "My Sarami, only child. I chose the world over her." Emily nodded, encouraging him to continue, her shift forgotten in the quiet intensity of the moment. Outside, rain pattered against the window, mirroring the tears welling in Elias's eyes. He began to unravel the thread of his past, his voice gaining strength as if the confession itself was a lifeline. Born in a small Midwest town during the Great Depression, Elias had dreamed of escaping the dust and despair. His father, a factory worker who drank away his sorrows, had little to offer but warnings. "The world chews up dreamers like you." But Elias was undeterred. At 18, he hitchhiked to New York, landing a job as a copy boy at a newspaper. His big break came during the Korean War, where he embedded with troops, his dispatches painting vivid pictures of heroism and horror that earned him acclaim. Back home, he married Clara, a gentle schoolteacher who believed in his fire. Sarah arrived soon after, a bundle of joy with her mother's curls and her father's curiosity. But the calls kept coming: Vietnam, then the Middle East. Elias chased the adrenaline, the bylines, leaving Clara to raise Sarah alone. "I sent money," he murmured to Emily. "But money doesn't tuck you in at night." Clara's letters grew sparser, laced with quiet pleas for him to come home. One day, a telegram arrived. Clara had died in a car accident, Sarah just 12. Elias rushed back, but the damage was done. Sarah's eyes, once bright, now held accusation. "You weren't here," she said at the funeral, her voice small but sharp as a knife. He tried to make amends, moving them to a quiet suburb, but the pull of the story was too strong. Assignments took him away again, and Sarah withdrew into books and silence. By her 18th birthday, she left for college and never looked back. Letters went unanswered, calls were met with voicemails. Elias buried himself deeper in work, convincing himself it was for the greater good, exposing corruption, giving voice to the voiceless. Now, in the hospital, the irony stung. The man who had delivered truths to the world couldn't deliver love to his own daughter. "The letter," he said, squeezing Emily's hand, "explains everything. My apologies, my pride, my love. Find her, please. Sarah Hawthorne, last I knew, in Seattle." Emily promised she would, though doubt gnawed at her. How do you track down a stranger in a vast city? But as Elias's grip loosened, his eyes fluttering shut, she felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just a dying wish. It was a chance to mend what time had broken. The next morning, Elias passed quietly, his room emptied of life save for the envelope in Emily's locker. She stared at it during her break, the wax seal unbroken. Curiosity tempted her to open it, but respect held her back. Instead, she Googled Sarah Hawthorne. Dozens of hits, a lawyer in Seattle, specializing in family law. Fitting, Emily thought with a wry smile. She drafted an email, then deleted it. Too impersonal. A phone call. Too abrupt. Finally, she booked a flight, her first vacation in years. "You're crazy," her colleague said. "Why get involved?" But Emily knew. In a job filled with loss, this was a shot at redemption, not just for Elias, but for all the patients whose stories ended unfinished. Landing in Seattle, The cool mist greeted her like a whisper from the past. Sarah's office was in a sleek downtown building, all glass and steel. Emily waited in the lobby, heart pounding, the letter clutched like a talisman. When Sarah emerged 50-something, poised, with streaks of gray in her dark hair, Emily stood. "Miss Hawthorne, I'm Emily Thompson. Your father. He asked me to deliver this." Sarah's face paled, a flicker of old pain crossing her features. She took the letter, fingers trembling. "My father? He's gone." Emily nodded, and in that moment, the dam broke. Sarah invited her to a nearby cafe, where over coffee, she shared her side. The abandonment, the anger that fueled her drive to protect other families. "He chose headlines over hugs," she said, voice thick with emotion. But as she read the letter aloud, Elias's words poured out. Confessions of fear, of thinking he wasn't worthy, of loving her fiercely from afar. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "I never knew," she whispered. Emily felt the weight lift, a bridge forming across the chasm of years. Yet, as they parted with promises to stay in touch, Emily wondered if this was truly the end or just the beginning of healing. In the weeks following her return from Seattle, Emily couldn't shake the profound sense of fulfillment that Elias's letter had brought. Sarah had emailed her, thanking her profusely and sharing how the words had begun to soften the hardened edges of her heart. "It's like hearing his voice again," Sarah wrote. "Not the distant reporter, but the father I always wanted." Emily printed the email and tucked it away, a reminder that even in death, connections could be reborn. Back at the hospital, life resumed its relentless pace. Patients came and went, each with their own tapestry of joys and sorrows. Emily found herself more attuned to them, lingering longer at bedsides, listening to stories that might otherwise fade into the ether. One evening, as she checked on Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly woman recovering from hip surgery, the old lady grasped her arm. "You have kind eyes, dear. Like my granddaughter's." Mrs. Rodriguez's words stirred something in Emily. She thought of her own family estranged after a fallout years ago. Her brother, Mark, had moved across the country after their parents' divorce, blaming Emily for taking sides. They hadn't spoken in a decade. Inspired by Elias, Emily picked up the phone that night, dialing Mark's number with shaky fingers. "Emily, is that really you?" Mark's voice was cautious, laced with surprise. They talked for hours, bridging the gap with tentative apologies and shared memories. By the end, plans were made for a visit. Emily hung up, tears of relief streaming down her face. Elias's legacy was rippling outward, touching lives beyond his own. But fate had more in store. One rainy afternoon, a new patient was admitted, Dr. Harlan Brooks, a retired surgeon in his 70s, sharp-minded despite his failing kidneys. He was gruff at first, barking orders like he was still in the OR. Emily handled him with patience, drawing out bits of his history. He had been a pioneer in transplant surgery, saving countless lives, but at the cost of his marriage and children. "Sounds familiar," Emily said softly one day, as she adjusted his fore. Harlan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, got a story, nurse?" She shared Elias's tale, omitting names but capturing the essence. Harlan listened intently, his expression softening. "I have a son," he admitted finally. "We haven't spoken since he was a boy. Chose scalpels over soccer games." That night, Harlan asked for paper and pen. Emily watched as he wrote, his hand steady despite the tremors. "If I don't make it," he said, sealing the envelope, "deliver this to him. Promise me." Emily's heart clenched. Was this a pattern? A cosmic nudge? She promised, tucking the letter away. But unlike Elias, Harlan rallied, his condition stabilizing. Days turned to weeks, and he began physical therapy. In those sessions, Emily saw a man transforming, vulnerable, reflective. Then came the twist. During a routine check, Emily overheard Harlan on the phone. "Yes, Sarah Hawthorne? This is Dr. Brooks. I need legal advice on reconciling with my son." "Sarah?" Emily's mind raced. Could it be the same Sarah? She confronted Harlan gently. "Sarah Hawthorne, the lawyer in Seattle?" Harlan nodded, puzzled. "How did you know?" Emily explained the connection, the letter, Elias. Harlan's eyes widened. "Elias Hawthorne? The journalist? I operated on his wife years ago, Clara. Couldn't save her. He blamed me, said I was too detached." The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Harlan had been the surgeon in Clara's accident, the one Elias had vilified in his grief, never knowing the full story. Harlan revealed he had tried to reach out, but Elias shut him down. Now, through Emily, their paths intertwined again. This unexpected link deepened the emotional layers. Harlan, moved by Elias's final act, decided to reach out to his own son. Emily facilitated a call, witnessing tears and tentative forgiveness. "Thank you," Harlan said to her later. "You've been the bridge for us all." As Harlan prepared for discharge, he handed Emily another envelope. "This is for you." A small token. Inside was a check generous from his savings. "For your kindness," he wrote in a note. But more than money, it was validation. Emily used it to fund a support group for estranged families at the hospital, turning personal pain into communal healing. Yet, doubts crept in. Was she meddling too much? One night, a young patient, Mia, a teenager with leukemia, shared her fears. "I don't want to leave things unsaid," Mia whispered. Emily encouraged her to write letters to her loved ones. Watching Mia's family rally around her, Emily realized the true value, not fixing everything, but opening doors to possibility. As the support group grew, Sarah flew in to speak, sharing her story. "Forgiveness isn't easy," she said, "but it's worth the fight." Emily stood in the back, heart full. Elias's simple request had sparked a chain reaction, proving that even in frailty, one act could echo eternally. With the support group thriving, Emily's life took on new purpose. Mornings at the hospital blended into evenings of facilitation, where strangers shared stories of loss and longing. One participant, a middle-aged man named Tom, reminded her of Elias, quiet, regretful. "I walked out on my kids," he confessed during a session. "How do I come back?" Emily guided him gently, drawing from her experiences. "Start with honesty," she advised. Tom's eventual reunion with his children brought tears to the group, reinforcing the human capacity for change. But amid the victories, challenges arose. The hospital administration questioned the group's use of space, citing budget constraints. Emily fought for it, presenting testimonials from participants. "This isn't just therapy," she argued. "It's saving lives emotionally." Her passion won out, securing funding. Yet, personal storms brewed. Mark's visit approached, and anxiety gnawed at her. What if old wounds reopened? The night before his arrival, she reread Elias's letter. Sarah had sent her a copy. "My dearest Sarah," it began, "I was a fool, chasing shadows while the light was at home." Inspired, Emily wrote her own letter to Mark, pouring out unspoken feelings. When he arrived, they embraced awkwardly at the airport, but the letter broke the ice. Over dinner, they laughed and cried, rebuilding sibling bonds brick by brick. Mark stayed a week, helping with the group. "You're doing amazing work," he said. "Mom would be proud." Their mother had passed years ago, but Mark's words healed a part of Emily she didn't know was broken. As he left, promising regular calls, Emily felt lighter, more whole. Enter the unexpected twist. During a group meeting, a woman named Lydia joined, her face lined with quiet sorrow. She spoke haltingly of a father who abandoned her, a journalist, always away. Emily's blood ran cold. "What was his name?" she asked. "Elias Hawthorne," Lydia replied. The room fell silent. Lydia wasn't Sarah. She was another daughter? No, Lydia explained. Elias had a brief affair during his travels, resulting in her birth. He supported her financially but kept her secret, ashamed. "I found out after my mother died," Lydia said. "He sent letters, but I never responded. Now I hear he's gone." Emily's world tilted. Elias had more secrets? She revealed her role in delivering the letter to Sarah, watching Lydia's eyes fill with a mix of envy and pain. "He mentioned a sister?" Lydia asked. The group rallied around her, but Emily felt betrayed. Had Elias's redemption been incomplete? She contacted Sarah, who was stunned. A half-sister? Dad never said. Together, via video call, Sarah and Lydia connected, wary at first, then warming. Emily facilitated, turning shock into sisterhood. "He wasn't perfect," Sarah said, "but he tried at the end." Lydia's presence added depth to the group, her story emphasizing that forgiveness often comes with complexities. She became a co-facilitator, her perspective enriching discussions. As months passed, Emily reflected on the journey. Elias's plea had unveiled layers of human frailty, showing that no life is without hidden chapters. One day, Harlan returned for a checkup, bringing his son. Thanks to you, he said. The web of connections grew. Harlan mentored Tom. Sarah visited Lydia. Mark sent care packages. Emily marveled at the tapestry, each thread woven from vulnerability. But exhaustion crept in. Balancing work and the group left little for herself. A colleague noticed. You can't pour from an empty cup, Em. She took a weekend off, hiking in the nearby mountains. Amid nature's quiet, she pondered her path. Elias's legacy wasn't about perfection, but persistence, the courage to reach out despite fear. Returning refreshed, she led a session on self-forgiveness. We all have regrets, she shared, but we can choose to let them define us or drive us. The group nodded, stories flowing. In that circle of shared humanity, Emily found her own healing complete. Yet, one final ripple awaited. A package arrived from Sarah, Elias's old journals, filled with unpublished stories of love and loss. Share them, Sarah wrote. Let his words live on. Emily began reading excerpts in sessions, his prose evoking laughter and tears. Through them, Elias spoke anew, his voice a beacon for the brokenhearted. As the journals circulated, Elias's words became the heart of the support group. One entry, dated decades ago, described a moment of clarity amid a battlefield. In the chaos, I realized family is the only story worth telling. Participants quoted it like scripture, finding solace in its truth. Emily published excerpts online anonymously, the blog gaining traction. Strangers emailed their stories, expanding the group's reach virtually. Your words saved my marriage, one wrote. Emily smiled, knowing it was Elias's gift. But with visibility came scrutiny. A local reporter interviewed her, dubbing the group the Letter Legacy. The article went viral, drawing more members and critics. Some accused her of exploiting grief. Is this therapy or therapy theater? A comment read. Emily wrestled with doubt, but Lydia reassured her. Dad's secrets taught us authenticity matters. Keep going. Sarah and Lydia visited together, their bond strengthening. Over dinner, they shared laughs about Elias's quirks, his love for bad puns, his endless notebooks. He'd be proud, Sarah said. Inspired, Emily organized a retreat, a weekend at a lakeside cabin for core members. There, amid bonfires and stargazing, barriers crumbled. Tom reconciled with his ex-wife. Mrs. Rodriguez connected with her granddaughter via video. Harlan shared surgical tales, humanizing his past mistakes. On the final night, Emily led a letter-writing exercise. Write to someone you've lost living or gone. Pens scratched paper, emotions spilling forth. She wrote to Elias, "Thank you for trusting me. Your plea changed everything." As they burned the letters and the fire symbolic release sparks danced skyward, like souls ascending. Back home, renewed vigor infused the group. Then, the ultimate test. Mia, the teen with leukemia, worsened. Emily visited daily, holding her hand as Elias had held hers. "Deliver this to my brother," Mia whispered, handing a note. Mia passed soon after, but her brother attended the group, finding community in grief. "She wanted me to live fully," he said, tears flowing. Emily's resolve hardened. She pursued certification in grief counseling, blending nursing with advocacy. Mark supported her, moving closer to help. Years blurred, the group evolving into a nonprofit. Elias's journals were compiled into a book, proceeds funding scholarships for estranged youth. At the launch, Sarah and Lydia spoke. "Our father's last act," Sarah said, "was his greatest story." Emily stood on stage, humble. "It's not about one man, it's about all of us, choosing connection over isolation." The audience applauded, but Emily's thoughts drifted to that rainy hospital night. Elias's hand in hers, his plea a spark igniting flames of humanity. In quiet moments, she visited his grave, leaving flowers. "We did it," she'd whisper. Life continued. New patients, new stories. But Emily carried Elias's essence, the reminder that even in our final breaths, we can deliver hope. One day, a young nurse approached her. "A patient asked me to deliver a letter." Emily smiled. The cycle endured, a testament to enduring love. And so, the legacy lived on, proving that from one desperate grasp, worlds could heal.